collision distance is greater than the force stick distance. Wait, what? Wait, what the fuck? Collision distance is 166. What? So we're like inside the object is what's going on. Somehow we have been... Yeah, I'll still be here, Adam. Alright, so it's not a problem with the velocity. The problem is we're actually stuck in the ground. So it's going to be a force stick calculation. Right, yeah, this is snap to floors. This I was like, this looks just wrong. Alright, so internal set position. Like, we do an overlap check for this guy. Now, we were having problems here where overlapping was returning wrong. Suggest a new position as test position, plus down. So if we overlap at the new position, well, maybe we need this penetration distance to be a little bit bigger. Back to tinkering with ray casting, sweeping, and physics, which is always super tedious. Because we're not using like a collision geometry mesh, or I mean, not a mesh, but we're not using some sort of height map or something else. We're not using a grid for the physics. We're just trying like sweeps and ray casts and stuff like that. Yeah, so it's definitely that penetration distance. So good. Okay, that's good. That's kind of what we want. So what we can do here is we want to probably put this on the track a little bit ahead of the player. Let's see just how wide this object is. Yeah, see, it's not wide enough to collide with what we want. So we're going to take a look at that object real quick, and we're going to see what we can do. I think it's the the collision thickness in here. So if we go to edit collision, I think if we change this to maybe like, you know, like 200 or something, we save it. Nope. What is this? This is the extrusion thickness of collision geometry. Let's just, gosh, excuse me, I got hiccups. Let's set it to something pretty big. Let's set it to 400 and see what we come across here. Yeah, so if we set it to 400, we're actually colliding properly. So if this was Bitey standing tall, right, he'd be right behind the log, which is what we want to see. That's what we want. So let's change this geometry here. I think if we shift click, can we click both? No, but we can click the line. If we move the line, oh, that's really weird. Like this is 2 geometry points. Ugh. So let's see how that looks. So yeah, that looks fine. Like just real nice there. And if we wanted to make this thing super detailed, right, we'd go in here. Was it shift click to insert? We make a vertex right here. Oh yeah, I duplicated those verts. And we do something like this, wouldn't we? We're trying to jump up inside it. We're actually crawling up that slope that's in the collision. Like he's trying to get up all in that. So we need to, that's another note basically, is whenever we make one of these, we have to make sure that the slope is, the z is negative. I mean, the z is negative for the normal. Yeah, and that looks fine. So we'd be able to do stuff. So let's take a look. Let's say this log was hollow. What would our collision geometry look like for that? Well, we basically want this log to, we'd want to delete some of these points, and I guess it would be more like, we'd probably want something like this where we actually ramp it down slightly, kind of like that. Yeah, whoops. Because, you know, imagine you're running along, what you kind of want your character to do is just run up that little ramp and then run down it. So let's see if this actually works. Yeah, so we ran into our log and out of it. And for this sort of thing, if we were running through the log, there would actually be 2 sprites or whatever, because you need one in front, one behind, to actually make it look nice. And also looks like it looks pretty bad. Again, like this is just more stuff that we have to learn. Is if we want you to come out of something, we need to actually pull it back a bit. So when we run through it, you know, the character kind of pops out nicely. That's what it looks like. And we can jump inside the log. Cool, so looks like we're able to do what we want with our collision objects. I'm getting some Z fighting there with, you can see Fat Sack's kind of Z fighting with the, whatever the hell this thing is. Of course, if we move it up, we're just going to run right behind it. Let's see how wide this track is real quick. Because usually what you do is you kind of figure out how big everything should be. So if we move this guy, he's at -100, and we clone it, and we move it right next to it. So that thing is looking like it's 200 wide? Well, no, it's 400 wide, isn't it? Because we went from -100 to 300, so that's 400 width. So the track is 400 wide. So any of our collision obstacles that we want to span the whole thing, we have to make sure that they're all 400 width. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make this the default collision for this box over here, this collision thickness. I'm going to go ahead and make that 400 so we don't have to keep typing that number in. Let's see, what was it was saying? The extrusion thickness. So I'm not sure where that is in code. It's got a little tooltip there, so we can just do that. Comment should be right next to the actual variable. So collision thickness inside of paper sprite.cpp should be what we're going for. Yeah, if with editor only data, collision thickness equals 10. And yeah, there's our pixels per Unreal unit sort of bullshit that comes in with Paper 2D and anything else, is they have these arbitrary frickin' scales. Like, I think if you remember a couple episodes ago, like last week, we were messing around with figuring out the collision box scale so we could do some overlap tests to see if we could play an animation like standing up. And the math was all wrong, and I was like, there's probably some idiotic thing, inside of their code, and of course they're multiplying by 2.56, which is of course a completely arbitrary number. The same as the Snapchat user count for groups. I mean, nobody picks 256 for no reason. Obviously they have some sort of texture size stuff that they wanted to scale up there. So we're going to change this thing to 400 for the default. And let's see if there's a 10.0f anywhere else in this document, which there is not. So we'll just make sure to save our stuff real quick. Then we can exit, recompile, and then we'll make sure that our defaults are setting up properly. Cool. Alright, well, I am actually pretty happy about how the collision stuff's going here. We're able to make a log and walk inside that log, and it's actually pretty simple and not too hard to do, which is excellent. Because the simpler it is, the more content we'll have for this game, right? If it's easy to make more stuff, we're going to have more stuff in the game, so everyone else should be happy as well. And it's not that these obstacles can't be animated, they can definitely be animated. It'll just be not animated per frame with collision data. So, unless somebody wants to take all the damn time in the world to make that happen. So let's take a look at this log. Go back to editing the collision, and yeah, so the default is now 400. So if I set it to like 10, it's gonna warn me, and I can just set it to 400 there. Awesome. That's what we wanted to do. So let's actually open up all these real quick and make sure to set all of those collision thicknesses proper, which they did get set properly. I think that's because the U objects, if you don't specify it, are going to just revert to defaults. So that's pretty cool. I wish I could actually manually enter these verts without going into like the collision shape polygon vertices manually like that. That's pretty gnarly. Maybe there's a better way to do it. Maybe you can like use the property matrix on it. I'm not super Unreal, dude, so yeah, that's just garbage. How do I switch back to non-property view? Or maybe that's a new view entirely. Yeah, it's a new view entirely, so just close that. Ah. So let's just double check all the things. That's not right. This rock should have collision thickness of 400. Does it need more? Like this thing has a collision thickness of 400. Okay, so the already made things are not actually set properly. So these objects, you actually need to like go in here and then remake them, otherwise they get all screwed up. That's probably because the collision thickness is set properly on the actual U object, but it's not moving the verts. So maybe if we change this to 350 and then revert it. And this guy as well. Yeah, we set his mantle height way too high. So he's mantling like a madman. So we need to go and remove that thing we changed, the fat sack's mantle. And he should move a little bit better on that, the one stump. He's still popping. Just change it to like 10. Now he could just walk up that damn slope. That's the other thing that's happening. Alright, that works. Yeah, and this is also part of me learning kind of how we need to create our objects so we get the right movement out of our characters. So this stump, he's actually not able to jump because of this little lip here is wrong. So it's stuff like this where I need to see exactly kind of how we need to make all the characters and all this stuff, so I can be like, okay, you know, when you're making this thing and you don't want the character to be able to jump, you need to make sure that, you know, like, if I'm holding right here, I can't jump while moving against the object. Same thing with that, but I can jump when this one is there. So it has to do with the slope of the collision box. So like this guy, his left side was proper, but his right side isn't, so we're trying to figure out exactly what we need to do for all of it. So if it's like, alright, try to make those things perfect, or not. So yeah, I can jump on that one, I can jump on that one, that's fine. I can jump on that one now, and I'm not like freaking out running right up its slope either. Yeah, okay, good. And yeah, the slope there is a little bit too steep, so he's getting stuck on it if you... So this is what he's getting stuck on. Basically, he's trying to walk on this very steep section. And he's getting stuck on it. So we probably should just be doing something like that for this piece of geometry. If we can walk up that, damn. Did I not save it, or? Damn. The climbing abilities of Fatsack are just absurd. Though I mean we can change that. And now I can't jump against it because it has a slight slope there. So if we do this, maybe. All right, that's not bad. And we can jump on top of the log and do all that. Boom. We're going fast enough. We actually made it. Yeah, that feels pretty good. So a little finagling with our obstacles, and you can rig them up so they actually work. Yeah, and that's Z fighting right there. You see he's drawing behind it, and then he's drawing in front of it. And it also kind of calls into question, we might want to be, all these obstacles, we may want them to be 2 sprites instead of 1, so that we can give a little bit more depth to the objects, right? So, you know, like the back in front of this log, so maybe like this branch and things like that should be attached to this object, but behind it. So we'll probably be compositing sprites into other objects which have multiple sprites on them. So I need to take that as a note. Talk to Adam about exporting multiple sprites and compositing them into obstacles in game. Because basically what we'll do is we'll have like an obstacle here, and we should be able to like make a new, is it just a blueprint class, and this will be an actor, and we're just gonna call it like, you know, log. And we boot it open, right, and it looks like this. And what we do is we just throw like our we throw this thing on it, and we can just like move it over there, and then we can maybe take another one of these guys and maybe just the controls inside of some of these areas are a little finicky. Yeah, like what is that rendering there? That's totally jacked up. Like this Z order is not right. So we've got these 2 objects here, and we just, one of them, we put them at 0. Nah, crap. One of them at 400 and one of them at 0 for the Y. So what we should be able to do is go into here and then like drag our log out here. Our log is totally screwed up. We cannot select both of them. Alright. I cannot take the default scene route and rotate it? Well, that's unfortunate. I really wish these things weren't clipping all over each other like mad. So if we drag this in here, we should be able to run through it. God, this viewer here with paper sprites is just awful. Like it's just trash. So we want these things at like, because it's 400 wide, so we should put it at like 100, and this one at 90. And then we save that. And this should have been updated. It just doesn't work. Okay, okay. Let's just set this to 0 in here, and then set these to 0 in here. So we know they're just 0. So the collision is looking proper there, but it's probably not wide enough. No, we're still good. Okay. Maybe I just didn't know what the hell I was looking at. And then if we move these guys just a little bit. They're no longer Z fighting. So that's probably how we'll composite objects, is stuff like that. And you know, we'll break the object apart. It would be the single log that we'll have, you know, like the roots and branches and other stuff will be a single sprite that you could like walk behind and all that. So that makes sense to me. That works. All right. And I wish we could change like the thumbnail for this thing. Is there a way to change the thumbnail of a... of a blueprint object? Let's take a look. So it says, in the content browser, click on the blueprint icon you want to edit, view options, edit thumbnail. Okay, so you can capture a thumbnail just on the asset itself. It says in the bottom right click on view options. In the bottom right, view options. Click on thumbnail edit mode. When in this mode, you can rotate the camera on 3D thumbnails by dragging. Click a thumbnail to rotate it as if it was a 3D environment. What the hell? Okay. We're dragging the thumbnail and it's not doing anything. Alright, we're done editing. Alright, so I think basically for the thumbnails, what you do is you just like go right up to it and then you like capture thumbnail. And we do that and it'd be like, there's a log and blah. And that's kinda how we would do stuff. Makes sense. Yeah, saying we probably need to make objects in blueprints that reference all like the sub sprites, and like if we had, if we have multiple sprites in a single object, you'd throw them in here, you'd rig up the sprites with their collision data, like so, and then over in this you'd actually create the actual thing. And position it and all that stuff. And then we could have like, the branches might be in the foreground or background based on what we want. So when Fatsack like runs through, or Bitey runs through a log, there's a back of a log there that he's drawn against nicely. So like right here, we'd have a composite where that back of the log would be, something we could run against. Yeah, layered stuff. And we can do that, just import them like you normally do. And then just you can create a new blueprint. You just right click blueprint class, and then you just drag these guys like up in here. And then you just move it to where you want it to be. And this perspective view is all sorts of jacked up. It's not very good. So I can put this log here and save it. And then when I hit play here, I can actually go over, and there's a little boulder on this thing. I can go jump on it. Like that. So you're saying we already have layered stuff? So which one? Is it in materials? And then which log? like this one here. So why don't we take a stab at it? Did I just copy it into itself? Where the fuck did I just put those things? Oh, they're here. Never mind. So let's see. This is going to be another blueprint class. Just make it an actor. We're going to call this one Log Tunnel. Let's open it up. And then let's drag both of these things in here. So we've got them. They do not draw properly inside of this view. It's pretty friggin' annoying. Like, that is... You can see there's two planes there, but there's no Z in this, which I do not understand why. So, whatever. So we'll save those guys, and then we can... Then we do the actual collision data inside of the sprites themselves. So this guy is going to have no collision data. And this guy is going to have collision data like so. Collision, I guess we want something like none for the collision. Okay, so yeah, make sure to say no collision data enabled. And then I'm trying to look at like what this thing looks like, so I can give it a better box. So and then the log tunnel basically looks like that. I don't know, you'd have to mess with it to take a look. What the fuck? What the hell happened to all these things? With like the Z order getting all jacked up. Maybe it's I'm looking at them at the wrong angle. because the picking works properly. It's just the I'm over on my other screen trying to mess with this thing, and it's a little painful. So yeah, you can see there's the how we do compositing. So kind of like that. Does that look alright? You can just poke his little head out. He's watching you. He's watching. So cool. Alright, cool. And then basically what you can do then is we can basically get a good shot of this and then just right click, asset actions, capture thumbnail, and then there you go, log tunnel. That's starting to look like an actual game, kind of, you know? Stuff that you can actually walk inside of and cool shit like that. What the hell's going on? How did I fix the Z issue? I fixed the Z issue by moving the object. So, this is the object in the editor. And while it's not drawing things properly, based on, like, it's not actually depth sorting the sprites, just move each one of the primitive components, you know, each one of the sprites, and just like that, then it works. So stuff like that. That's our first person mode, running through your log. And let's make sure that if we save everything, that these thumbnails and everything are saved as well. It's like you could almost build a level now. That's the whole point. That's what we're doing here. We're making a game, right? We did it, Mom. We did it. We're game developers. We're making games here. And you can animate the obstacles if you'd like. Just we don't want to rig up per frame animations. I mean, per frame collision form. It'll just take too damn long. If you want to, it's definitely possible to do that, but I wouldn't. This calls for one cheer. Oh man, crazy! It's amazing. Look at all that cheerfulness. Thank you, Adam. Well, I'm gonna have to explain to the Australian authorities why you're paying pennies to a person in the United States. Are you running drugs? And you can kind of see it, so I wonder if there's a way to fix some of that horribleness there. Probably not if, like, literally all these things are all sorts of screwed up. Just one side of the sprites work. Hooray! Yeah, that's why we're getting a Twitch cheers. We'll never trace it down. This whole game is just a giant drug front. Don't tell anyone, unless they're drug dealers. In which case, we got things to sell. We can look through the log and see that the world is broken. Alright, well, let's double check that scaling works properly. What the fuck? That is not how I would have expected that scale to work. Like, I would totally expect the scale to... Scaling just isn't working. Okay. Like, what? What? What the fuck? Why? Why are you broken? Alright, that's crazy. Well, that is an issue. Why is this scale so absolutely screwed up? Because I guess I rotated these objects. So if I set this at like at 100 and I set this at -100, how's the scale look now? They swap these places. So can I scale it out? Can I scale it up? Okay. So there's something weird going on with these objects, basically. Is that they need to be made and you need to not rotate them when you make them. So that's another thing to watch out for. But then of course we have this 90-degree problem. You can't just throw stuff out there real easily we're messing with it. So I'm looking at this thing to see if there's anything, like we have default scene root. This is the root component. Copy. Parent class of a is actor.h. Alright, well. We could make an obstacle actor or something like that, and then maybe we could have a little bit more control over it. And then we make a factory for that thing. Might work. Well, what should we do? I don't like that this is there. Native parent class actor. Let's see. So I guess we need to make a new actor thing. So if I do like blueprint class, and then I want to set like, I mean, we could do like paper sprite actor. And if I drag this into the scene, it does not start at -90. Paper sprite actor. Yeah, I don't like this. Because if I drag this on here, we still have that 90-degree problem. So every time I should set the rotation equal 90. How do I make the default rotation? Need to use prefab, the IE blueprint. So I mean, we could. Yeah, we have problems with scales if we screw around with stuff in here though.